Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So I was asked to do a video on still lifes, and what I want to point out is that the same principles apply, like I've been saying all along when I was doing my 100-day project, and I talked about the three main principles, which are the push and pull. You push things into the background using a darker value generally and a neutral or a cool color, and you pull things forward by using a lighter value and brighter, warmer colors. And the second point I made is that everything works with everything else. So there is nothing on your page that is isolated. Everything works in tandem. And the third thing I talked about were color fields, where, you know, this reads as a white bowl, and there are so many colors in here, or this reads as a red apple, but like look at all the colors in there. So whether I am talking about this red sweater and, you know, look at that color field, there are so many different colors and values in there. We still read it as red, but when you look at it, over 50% of the sweater is actually not red at all. And it's the same with the face, it's the same with anything that you paint. So what I want to do is I'm just going to show you these, and I actually love doing still lifes. They're very relaxing to me. Now for these particular ones, I just made them up in my head. Like I did not set an apple, a bowl, and a bag, and, you know, put the lighting and, you know, style my still life. I did not do that. I am going to make another video on the tips that I have learned through the years about how best to set up a still life. But this here is just like, you know, it's kind of a stylized kind of a thing, because I just made it up in my head. So this is on Bristol paper, and I ran out of Bristol paper, unfortunately. I have to put an order in. So and I really love this one. Like, I just love all the blues. And what I did is, see how I just like splashed all this color? I did that for this. And I think what I did was I splashed some ultramarine blue and I think maybe a Payne's gray. I'm not sure. But I love this. I just like, look at the color fields. Like, I just love that. I love the apple. I love the bowl. I just love everything about it. And this one over here. And so, like I said, for all of these, I just made them up. I just, you know, I have some collage over here, which I was just experimenting with different ways of putting collage. I think in this one over here, I have a tea bag. See, I'm going to bring it up closer and you can see the tea bags. See, I put the tea bags over there. So I really do enjoy doing still lifes. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to show you like what I did. And because I really love this one, I'm just going to put it up here just kind of as a guiding kind of a force. But obviously it's going to be different because it's going to turn out differently, because over here, I think I splashed a Payne's gray and a blue, whereas over here, I did the blue and the yellow. So it is going to look differently. But anyways, this over here is Strathmore Mixed Media. And you know, if you just use whatever you have if you are going to do this, but I just want you to keep the three principles in mind, which is the push-pull, the color fields, how like red is not really red. It's got a ton of different colors and values and textures in it. And the third point, which is everything works with everything else. So all I did here is I just splashed some yellow paint, and I wanted it to be like a really intense yellow, and some blue. I didn't really kind of think like, oh, you know, this is going to be this and this is going to be that. I didn't do that. I just like splashed it down and I allowed it to dry. So now that I've put that on there, I'm just going to sketch out my apple and my bowl, and I'm just gonna make up like a little kind of a jar or something like that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of create a horizon line, And I think what I'm going to do, because this is a much smaller sheet of paper than the one I showed you, is I'm going to kind of make my horizon line kind of high up here, like so. And maybe at a bit of a diagonal. Okay. And all I'm going to do is, so I'm just kind of using this as a kind of like a guiding kind of a, you know, painting, but I'm gonna move things around because I want the apple to be on this side because of the yellow. So I'm gonna put my apple over here. And the great thing about, like, say if you're doing an apple and a bowl and, I don't know, a jar or a vase or something like that, is you really do have so much leeway because, you know, there's no such thing as like a perfect apple. Like, apples are organic, and it's not like when you're doing a face. Like, when you're doing a face, if you know, put the eyes too far up, or if you put the you know, if you don't place the features properly, as human beings, we are going to immediately know like something is off. Like, you know what I mean? So an apple is just an organic kind of an apple. Like, nobody is gonna come up to you and go, oh my god, that apple is not drawn correctly. Like, you know, there are a gazillion different apples. Like, sure, there's a basic apple shape, but it is a very organic kind of a thing. And even with a bowl, like, you know, there are handmade bowls, and, you know, there are bowls that are just, you know, shaped, you know, all different sorts of ways. So nobody's gonna like look at it and pick up on the fact that it's not like, you know, it's not like completely the way it should be, I guess. Whereas, you know, with facial features, yeah, like, we're immediately gonna pick up like, oh, you know, something's off. And even if you can't articulate it, like, it's because we're human beings, we're gonna like be like, well, something just seems a bit off. So yeah, when you're doing still lifes, you've really got a lot of leeway. And there's something so relaxing about, you know, doing still lifes for me. I really do enjoy it. Okay, and so I want to put, just as a compositional note, like, there's the bowl and there's the apple, and so I kind of want to put a third object on the page, and I also want that object to be behind either the apple or the bowl. So I think what I'm gonna do is I am gonna put like, I don't know, a little kind of a little jar or something like that. And that's just gonna, you know, just make it a little bit more interesting, as opposed to just having like two objects on the page here. And this is just, and the thing with still lifes is, honestly, you can just go around your house and you can just find objects to get inspiration from. Like, you know, and nobody's gonna like look at it and go, like, look at your painting and go, well, you know, like, why is that jar like that? Well, like, because there are so many different shapes of jars. And do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, okay, it's just a jar. Like, you know, nobody's gonna pick up on the fact that, you know, if you did something a little bit off or whatever. So it's very forgiving is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And so there we go. That's just like my basic kind of, you know, still life composition. So now what I'm gonna do is, I think I am going to add some tea bags. Okay, you guys, I'm so addicted to these tea bags. I cannot even tell you. Like, they just add so much. See, like, if I put this over here, that would kind of suggest fabric, you know, so there could be like fabric on here, and that's what I did for, see, I did this over here, and that kind of like suggests some fabric. I'm gonna bring it up closer. I don't know if the camera can pick up on that, but I just absolutely love, love, love these tea bags. And you can use like all sorts of different collage. Like you can use dictionary pages. I don't think I used anything else but tea bags. I don't think I put any dictionary pages or anything, but you know, you certainly can. I don't know. I might for this one, but I don't know. I just love these tea bags, so they're just too much. I love them. So I'm gonna put some of it is gonna be on the bowl, and then some of it's just gonna be like on the table. And I want to repeat it, like I don't want it to just be kind of by itself on the page. There's something about doing still lifes, you guys, that just like instantly just calms me down, and it just makes me happy. I don't know why. And I find that, you know, when I work on different things, like I'm working on the 100-day project, and then I go to this other journal, and then I go to like a still life, and then I go, you know, it just really, everything like strengthens everything else. It's really weird. At least that's my experience. So I don't want to put the tea bag on the apple, I don't think. And I don't want to put it on that because that's kind of like, you know, pushed back in the background there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over here on the bowl. Like so. And maybe like another, I'll put a piece over here. But I think I want to like make it smaller because I don't want it on the apple. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, you guys, is I am just going to start building up my, you know, my objects. And what I want to do is I want to have a very neutralized palette. Like I don't want to introduce a whole bunch of colors, and I want to try and use, you know, what I have on the page to my advantage. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to build up my bowl. Now I am going to use white, and I am going to use my Payne's gray. I'm not going to use the cashew for right now. I might later, but for right now I just kind of want to get like some just like a truer gray, I guess. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start like laying stuff down. So remember the push-pull. The stuff I want in the background is gonna be neutral, and it's going to be of a darker value. The stuff I want to pop forward, I want that to be a lighter value and a brighter color. So just all the principles that I talked about in my 100-day project, they apply for still lifes as well. They apply for landscapes, they apply for anything. And even if you're gonna break the rule, those are good rules to know, and then you can break them. So I'm gonna try to use that blue over there as part of the shadows of this little jar thing here, or whatever. I mean, I just made it up, actually. It's just like a little kind of a jar, I guess, but and that's a great thing about making things up, you know, you just can go to town like, oh, it's a jar of jam, okay. Okay, and I just want to kind of make the lid like so. this upside down here. And I am going to build up the bowl a little bit here. So I hope you guys can see how this is kind of taking shape, you know. It's yeah, sure, it doesn't look like the pieces I showed you, but it is taking shape. So I'm just laying some of this blue down here, and now I think what I'm gonna do for the bowl is I am going to use some burnt sienna over there. And actually, now that I'm looking at this bowl, I think I did put a piece of collage here. I don't know what it was. They're not dictionary pages. It was maybe brown paper or something. I don't remember. It doesn't look like tea bags, but I think I'm gonna drop some of that burnt sienna in there. And what I am going to do is just kind of like smush it into the tea bags a little bit. So all I'm doing, you guys, is I'm just building up my objects. That's all I'm doing. And, you know, I'm just layering. I'm just like trying to put in the values. But I'm using those same principles that I used for my 100-day project. They're the exact same principles of push and pull. They're the same principles of everything works with everything else, nothing exists in isolation. They are the same principles of, you know, a color field has a ton of colors and textures and values. It's not just like one color. Like an apple is not like red. It's actually like a ton of different colors, like depending on, you know, the way the light is hitting and all sorts of things. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm just creating like I'm trying to portray a three-dimensional object. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to get some of my blue here, and I'm just going to kind of like lay it down like so. And just build it up. And generally when I am making these still lifes, I, you know, I work in like, say, I don't know, half an hour increments, and then I allow things to dry naturally and I come back to it. And that way I have like really beautiful color feels. And you guys, not that I'm against using a heating tool. I do use them for my, when I do time-lapse videos, I have to use them. And, you know, they have their purpose for sure. So what I'm going to do with the background here is I'm just going to put in my Payne's Gray, because I just want it to be kind of a solid background, like this black over here. Well, it's Payne's Gray, but you know, like a black, or you know, even say something like this is, you know, it's not black, it's just neutral, but then, you know, I put like some of the grays and the ink black Payne's Gray over here just to differentiate the you know, the, say, the table from the background. But for this one, I think I'm just gonna go with like a solid color field. So it's really gonna kind of make the object stand out. And I got a couple of splatters over there, but that's totally fine, because this is like, you know, a mixed media still life. So all these little beautiful drips and accidents and what have you, it just infuses the piece with life and energy, so it's not like really stiff. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay some shadows over here. So this is like, you know, the bottom of the bowl, so I'm just gonna kind of like put some shadows over there. And maybe underneath that over there, and under the apple. Okay, so I am going to allow this to completely dry, you guys, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna work on it some more. So if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.